Hi. Afternoon, everyone, councillors, staff and gallery. Welcome to the 25th of February Ordinary Council meeting here in Kununurra. I'd like to advise members of the public that recommendations to council contained within this agenda and decisions arising from the council meeting can be subject to alteration. Applicants and other interested parties should refrain from taking any action until such time as written advice is received confirming council's decision with respect to any particular issue. Audio and video and webcast will be made of these proceedings and also to assist in taking of minutes. Declare the meeting open at 5:05. At item 2, record of attendance, there are 7 councillors in the room at the moment, and I'm aware that Councillor Timms is travelling and will be here in a few minutes. I will announce it when he arrives. In the room we have myself, Councillor Chafer, Deer, Harty, Gooding, Kine and Robinson. We also have CEO Vernon Lawrence, Director Nick Allen and Director Paul Webb. 2 apologies have been received from Councillor McNeil and Director Bell. No leave of absence request has been received. At item 3, declarations of interest. I have no declarations of interest at the moment. At 4, response from previous public questions taken on notice, and we have nil. Public question time at item 5. There is none received prior to the meeting. Are there any members of the gallery wishing to ask any questions? No. We'll move on to 6, applications for leave of absence, and I have nil. At 7, petitions, I have nil. At item 8, confirmation of the minutes. The recommendation is sitting there. Are there any clarifications or questions before I look for a mover and a seconder? Do I have a mover? Councillor Harty. And a seconder, please. Councillor Deer. Against. All in favour? 7-0. Thank you. At item 9 is announcements by the person presiding without discussion. Bear in mind our last ordinary council meeting was back in early December, so I'll cover off on that period. The first one was the 8th and 9th of January. We had a visit from the Honourable Anthony Albanese MP, Prime Minister of Australia. A visit to Kununurra including a community meet and greet, election and grant announcements including the Wyndham boat ramp, the RPPP and Wyndham Community Hub, was attended by Deputy Shire President Chafer, Councillor Gooding, Director Allen, Director Bell and Shire officers. On the 13th of January we had the Honourable Roger Cook MLA here to do election announcements including Ward Lily Place, which is a key worker staff housing, attended by the Deputy Shire President, Councillor Gooding and Director Allen. The 24th of January, a joint meeting with Minister Papalia and the Alcohol Accord, attended by the Deputy Shire President and Director of Planning and Community Development. Thank you to all those who attended all those meetings in my absence. The 10th of February was the annual general meeting of electors, attended by myself, Councillor Deer, Councillor Harty, Councillor Kine, Councillor McNeil, Councillor Robinson, Councillor Timms and Councillor Gooding. On the 18th of February, we had a presentation from urban futurist Stephen Yarwood, attended by Shire President, Deputy Shire President, councillors, the CEO, Director Bell and Director Allen. On the 20th of February, there was a community forum with urban futurist Stephen Yarwood, attended by myself, Deputy Shire President, the CEO, Director Bell and Director Allen. On the 21st of February, the Kimberley Zone and Kimberley Regional Group meeting was attended by myself, the Deputy Shire President and the CEO, and that was a Teams meeting with all Kimberley Shires represented. Thank you. We move on to items at 10, which is matters for which the meeting may be closed, and we have one matter tonight, which is item 16.1, award of the request for tender RFT 03-2425, the Kununurra Master Planning, Lake Kununurra Foreshore Development and Town Centre Roof Vitalisation. At item 11, we have deputations, of which we have nil. We move on to item 12, which is the reports. At item 12.1 is matters arising from committees of council, which we have nil. At item 12.2, we have matters from the Office of the CEO. We start with item 12.2.1, which is the standing item on the outstanding actions from previous council resolutions. I'm aware there was some questions circulated and responded to. Are there any further questions, members rise? I'd welcome Councillor Timms. We have started Councillor Timms and we're just starting on items 12.2.1. Any queries or clarifications sought on the standing item, the outstanding actions from previous council resolutions? If not, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder, if I could. Councillor Hardy. And a seconder, Councillor Gooding. Against? All in favour? 8-0. Sorry, I'll just note the time. 7, 10, Councillor. We'll move on to item 12.2.2, standing item, the use of the common seal. The recommendation is there. Any queries or clarifications? Councillor Robinson.
I just want to query. On the special council meeting last year, council resolved to do a review of all leases, and then on the 18th of February, the common seal was applied to a lease. I just want to know if the consideration for the review was done before the common seal was applied or not.
I'll direct that one to the CEO. Thank you, CEO.
Councillor Robinson, yes. The review of all leases is starting at the moment. We're a little bit resource poor, so we haven't gone through all the leases. This is a lease that has been unsigned for some period of time. The occupant at the airport has been occupying the place without a valid lease in place. They were requested to get the lease in place a number of times where they failed. So this is really just catching up on all of that. So it's the lease of the premises in the airport building as well as the parking places. So yes, a review by finance wasn't done, but the airport manager went through the lease with them, and it's market related.
And so the 6 car bays is adequate for that hire car company?
6 car bays on a 12-month period is adequate, but during the tourist season, that does get varied, and it's done on an ad hoc basis.
Thanks, CEO. Thanks, Councillor Robinson. If there's no further queries or clarifications, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Thanks, Councillor Robinson. And a seconder, if I could, Councillor Kine. Against? All in favour? 8-0. We'll move on to Planning and Community Development 12.3. And 12.3.1 is the Local Planning Scheme Amendment on short-term accommodation. Recommendations in front of you. Any queries or clarifications sought? Nothing needs adding there, I think. If not, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Robinson. And a seconder, if I could. Councillor Chafer. Against? All in favour? 8-0. Thank you. At item 12.3.2 is the policy review of policy 3005, the hire of the banner poles. Any clarification sought? Councillor Chafer.
You just want to know, it may be covered in the document, but I just note that the responsibility is on the applicant to actually not just pay for the advertisement, but actually put the advertisements up themselves in a road area. And I think in the document it says that when approval is given, they must also get main roads approval, and that might require SWEC given some instruction. I'm just wondering whether we give them an appropriate level of instruction for that sort of activity in the middle of a road reserve, whether, you know, if they're using, I can't recall whether all of those poles are drop-down poles now or they've got to use an elevated platform. So it doesn't actually stipulate anywhere in the policy that we're going to make sure that they've got all the necessary licences and proper work instructions. But there is a statement in there that says that we may give them an instruction, and I'm just wondering if we're comfortable that that goes far enough.
Director Allen. Thank you. Councillor Chafer.
Councillor Chafer, that is a question that I'll have to take on notice, because I did think there were some amendments made to that to make it more thorough. So I'll have to check that with our officers and get back to you.
Thank you.
Given that's fairly significant, do you want to proceed with the motion, or would you like to, with the policy document, if we're going to review it and then change it in a fortnight's time to put it up again? Thinking how to move forward with it. We're reviewing it.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm happy to defer this one to bring it back to the next meeting.
No objections?
No, thank you.
No, that sounds good. If we're reviewing it, we might as well get it. Sorry, we didn't pick up on that one earlier.
I apologise from me for that too. So.
So we'll move on to 12.3.3, the draft local planning strategy. Recommendations there. Any queries or clarification sought, please? If not, we're looking for a mover and a seconder.
All right.
Councillor Timms.
In light of the funding we've gotten recently for the jetty and stuff, should we add something in there about the Wyndham Port Historical Precinct? Some planning around footpaths and, you know, the development there?
There is a bit in there already.
Director Allen, would you like to respond? Thanks, Councillor Timms.
I think the document itself is broad enough to capture a lot of that. I don't think it needs to be drilled down into that operational sort of level. I'm comfortable that the strategic information within that document will flow through into that more operational and where it comes from, as far as the precinct and the boat ramp. The document itself doesn't need to be get into that thorough detail.
Thanks, Director Allen. Councillor Timms, have you that response? If there's no further queries, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Kine. Seconder, Councillor Hardy. Against? All in favour? Sorry. Against? Councillor Robinson? Councillor Timms? Would you like to speak in favour? Councillor Kine?
I've got nothing to add, Mr. President.
Thank you. Seconder is Councillor Hardy.
My only comment was, I know when we previously spoke about this item, one of my key questions was if this was kind of future-proofed for the development work and the strategic community planning work that we've done. I was really confident that this did have the requirements to meet the future aspirations. So that was the basis for why I'm comfortable with it.
Thanks, Councillor Harding. Someone speak against? Councillor Timms?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure for me that it has the right planning for the future for specifically Wyndham. It's sort of quite limited there. It's changed a bit since the last draft I looked at, but it's still, you know, a bit to be desired around the Wyndham aspect of it for me.
Thanks, Councillor Timms. Anyone else like to speak for the motion? If not, someone else like to speak against? Mm-hmm. I've just gone for. Now, no. So, yep, and then we'll sum up. Is that right?
Yep, Mr. President, if there's nobody to speak for, then it does go to against. If there's another speaker for or against, yep.
Yep, so Councillor Ronson.
Okay, so in the document, I did note that the feedback from the last briefing has stimulated a removal of 2 local rural living opportunity zones, which I feel would be quite a stretch. I thought that the feedback from the meeting with the briefing was that it was a poorly worded document and poor value for money, and they probably need to go back and do a bit more work, and a completely neglected Wyndham would be a fair assumption of the report of the briefing. In that, 3 out of the 2 remaining rural living zones are in direct conflict with industrial zones, which are in breach of the planning policy. So in the planning policies, it says to avoid conflict of zones, and industrial and residential are definitely a conflict of zones, which leaves a 1 zone of an undeveloped parcel of land with no services and nothing, which would need significant state investment into that, which may or may not come. So we've gone out to the community and received 120 odd responses, and in that 120 odd responses, the majority have come back with flexible options for living and for rural residential housing, and we have pretty much just wiped it. And I think that if we're going to go out to community with foreshore development and town centre revitalisation, I just think that we probably should be listening to our community. I don't think that document reflects the feedback. The fact that it does not mention our failed housing market in there, it talks around it, fluffs it up, doesn't mention it, it's weak. You know, we have a failed housing market because it's underpinned by that state plan policy. They're the ones that have caused it, and we're then changing our strategy because they don't like what we want to do. Don't for me. And the last one, if we were actually serious about this, to be honest, like the document's pretty poor. Like it talks lots. I'm so sick of hearing the word challenge and reading the word challenge. Like, we're challenged. I think it was said in every page. So we are not challenged. We have been stitched up. And I think it's about time that we actually do something about it. And it starts with our planning strategy. Then it feeds on to our housing market, that if we want to fix it, we have to actually fix it. And I just don't think that rubber stamping this is a good move from this council. So I'm not going to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. CEO?
Mr. President, I think the process so far was that this item came to a briefing and there was dissatisfaction with the document. At that stage, officers took the document back, went through, reviewed it, sent it to councillors for comment, incorporated the comments from councillors at that point in time, and this is the document that's arisen out from feedback from councillors. So if councillors are of the opinion that not all the comments have been incorporated in the document, then my suggestion is maybe we take this back and review it again. But we can only produce a document based on the information and the feedback that we've got from council. If that feedback hasn't come through to us, then we can't incorporate that. So, Councillor Robertson, in particular, if you've given us that feedback and we haven't acted on it, please can you let me know? But I'm happy to take withdraw this item if council thinks we need to withdraw it, and incorporate Councillor Robertson's concerns in the matter.
Thanks, CEO. Probably I'll allow the mover to sum up, and then, what's procedure? And the mover to sum up and then vote. But point well taken, thank you. Councillor Khan.
Obviously, a considerable amount of work has gone into this document, and it appears that not all feedback has been properly considered. And I am also now of the opinion that if everyone's not really happy with this and it needs a little bit more work, then maybe it does need to come off the table and potentially be workshopped again and brought back at a further future council meeting.
Thanks, Councillor Khan. The opposing, do I get a say? Opposing. Would you like to sum up who moved that? Councillor Ronson was against. Would you like to sum up? Thank you. Probably the easiest way to deal with it is put it to the vote, isn't it? Yep. So, and we'll take it from there. So, all those in favour? Against? 0 and 8. Thank you, councillors. Point well made, obviously. Thank you. We move on to item 12.4 and 12.4.1, list of accounts paid from the municipal fund. Any queries, clarification sought on that item, please?
I was just waiting on that clarification for the payment to the All Abilities Playground for the, what was it, 3.68% was overpaid, and I haven't had clarification yet for that.
Councillor Robertson, I'll have to follow that up with Director Alex Bell and get back to you on that, unless Director Allen has got an answer for you on that.
No, I'm still waiting on chatting with Stuart Dyson in regards to that project because of his travel at the end of last week. Haven't had that opportunity to have that conversation with him yet.
So we'll take that one on notice, Councillor Robinson. Yeah, I did see the email. I didn't find a response either. So, any other clarification sought? Otherwise, looking for a mover and a seconder. Notwithstanding, Councillor Robinson, a seconder. Councillor Deere, against. All in favour. 8-0. Move to 12.4.2, the monthly financial report. Any queries or clarifications sought? Looking for a mover and a seconder. If I could, Councillor Kine. Seconder, Councillor Timms. Against, all in favour. 8-0. Councillor Chafer, is that correct? He's having a moment. Just confirm they're in favour of accepting the accounts. Thank you. 8-0. Move on to item 12.5, infrastructure. 12.5.1, policy 4014, plant mobilisation and emergency policy review. Any clarification sought on that one? If If not, looking for a mover and a seconder if I could, please. Councillor Deer. A seconder, Councillor Chaver. Against, all in favour? 8-0. Thank you. At item 12.5.2, Lake Argyle Road, proposed culvert replacement, consideration of putting it in the budget review, mid-year review. Any clarifications, Councillor Chaver?
Yeah, look, no problems with the recommendation. I just wanted to make sure, obviously, that we're going to keep an eye on it. So if we do get another failure before we've had a chance to allocate some funding, we take action when necessary.
Thanks, Councillor Chaver. CEO?
Councillor Schaffer, our staff were out there today doing some preventative work on that structure, so I'm sure they'll keep an eye on it on a regular basis until that work's complete.
Thanks, CEO.
But just sorry, I just got a clarification on the recommendation. Can you just explain what council's actually endorsing?
Thanks, Councillor Robinson. My understanding is that it's, I'm not sure, is it a significant, Director Webb, you can explain it.
Thank you. It's not a request for funds at this point because it would be out of budget allocation. It was a request to put it either to mid-year budget or when we undertake the next budget review. It doesn't commit council to expenditure, it just asks that it be put and considered at the time. The reason for putting it to the meeting is just so that council are aware that there's a failure there and it's being addressed. There's been issues like this before where council haven't been informed. Something bad has happened and it's resulted in legal action. So it's just an informing instrument to council for it to be considered at the next available budgetary time.
Sorry, just a supplement.
You can have a follow-up there
So
for sure.
It needs to be repaired, correct? We, as a council, need to allocate a budget to repair it. It's not, we have not budgeted for the repair, no. So why would we not just allocate the budget to do the job? But if it's got to be done, it just seems that we're endorsing to think about it. Is it possibly that it won't need to be done?
Thanks, Councillor Robinson. Good question.
We certainly have plenty of work that needs to be done, so it's all measurable. But there's nothing that says that we couldn't put it up. I can change the recommendation, or you can do it now to proceed with the works. I think probably doing it through Regional Road Group would be the best option. We wouldn't be able to do it straight away. There's still water flowing through the culverts, so we can't do it until it dries out. So we have a little bit of wiggle room. I think for the sake of the table, we did repair it on the dates contained in the report, and since then it's rained again, and we've had to go back and hit it with cement stabilised sand. So it's clearly an issue. So it's up to the table, absolutely, if you'd like to proceed with it.
Given the absence of our Director of Finance, CEO, would you have a view on that?
Yes, we can entertain it in the mid-year budget review. At this stage, we don't have an accurate cost. We've got an estimate that we can table, but the mid-year budget review was going to be coming up to council at the May briefing for adoption the March briefing for adoption in March. So that would fit with the timelines. It would fit in with this recommendation. So we'd be able to bring it to the briefing, mid-year budget review to the briefing. This would be part of that briefing, and then it would go up to the March ordinary council meeting for approval. So happy to entertain a change to the wording to this if council want to do it now, but we can always deal with it during March.
Thanks, Councillor Robinson, for those questions. Thanks, CEO and Director Webb, for the explanation. It appears that the process, as presented, won't change if we do anything else anyway. So I guess I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Schaefer, a seconder if I could. Councillor Robinson. Against? All in favour? 8-0. Thank you. And I'm sure the Director of Finance will have some fairly solid instructions on what might fit in and what might. Item 12.5.3, proposed landfill bore installation on reserve 47334. Recommendations there. Any clarification sought? If not, looking for a mover and
Yeah,
a
just
Councillor
one.
Robinson.
I'm just wondering how there's zero financial implications if we're installing bores and maintaining them.
Thanks, Councillor Robinson, Director of Infrastructure.
Thank you. Council have already budgeted to proceed with landfill activities. That would include the installation of the bores. The recommendation is just the indemnification of main roads against costs and claims for that installation process.
Council approves the installation of the water testing bores on reserve, subject to conditions, including the indemnification of the main road.
Yep.
So were we already?
Go
Were we already installing the bores and budgeted for it, but now this motion is just to indemnify water main roads? Is that correct? Yep.
Yes, Councillor Robertson, that's correct. We had an item both in operational and capital expenditure for new landfill site and investigation. Yep.
Thanks, Director Webb. Thanks, CEO. Mover and a seconder. Thanks, Councillor Robinson. A seconder, if we could. Councillor Hardy. Against? All in favour? 8-0. That ends items of 12. We move on to item 13, motions of which previous notice has been given. I have nil. 14, questions by members of which due notice has been given. I have nil. Urgent business approved by myself or by decision. Not seeing anything. At 16, matters behind closed doors. I would like to move that we council go in camera at 17:36 to discuss items listed in 16. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Schaefer. Against? All in favour? 8-0. Thank you. have to read it off of there, which I can.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
currently have 4 people watching.
So can we, all right, so we're back
Yeah.
on stream.
Scroll down.
Oh yeah,
All right, welcome back. Thank you. We have just
I'll just take the colour out of it.
come back out of camera at item 16.1. Council has voted and approved 8-0 for the slightly changed recommendation, and that decision is that Council 1 regarding RFT 03-24-25 separable portion 1 Lake Kununurra Foreshore Master Plan and Development Strategy. A, accept the tender from Hassel Studio and authorises the CEO to negotiate and execute a contract to a value not exceeding $800,000 ex GST. B, authorises the CEO to approve contract variations that are individually under 100,000 and within an aggregate amount of variations not to exceed 500,000 without approval of council, to a total contract value not exceeding the grant income of $1,932,362, based on further project studies and detailed planning work required within the existing scope. At C, authorises the CEO to transfer $218,040 from the foreshore reserve to meet the Shire's cash contribution. And D, CEO not to authorise any expenditure that conflicts with federal grant approval. At 2, regarding RFT 03-24-25 separable portion 2, Kununurra Town Centre Master Plan and Revitalisation Strategy. At A, accepts the tender from Hassel Studio and authorises the CEO to negotiate and execute a contract to a value not exceeding $458,549, excluding GST. And B, instructs the CEO to allocate $150,000 to the project through the 2024-25 mid-year budget review and the 25-26 budget planning processes. 3, resolve to reaffirm that it will, to the extent possible under legislation, ensure that the Town Centre Revitalisation Steering Committee will be engaged in all related decision-making processes. I think that completes the recommendation, and councillors voted 8-0. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff. At 17 is closure of the meeting. I'd like to close this meeting at 18:18, and thank you for your efforts in getting us through this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, David.